I don't mind having my head cut off the top of the screen. A lot of my videos, I want you to focus more on the desk than me. So I don't actually mind. And I got zombified wire remains all over my desk now because I've been working on monorail stuff. And monorail entails 9-volt wires, and 9-volt wires entails zombified wire. So it is what it is. I've gotten rid of most of it, but every time I pull out 9-volt stuff, there's all these little tiny pieces of black zombified rubber that came off the wires. Thank you very much, Lego, for whatever. Possibly my biggest disappointment. And again, I can't gripe much because I build my own now. So that's better for me. Hobbyist, I get to build my own wire. So I made that monorail, this one over here, which you can't see there. I'll put it in the screen for a sec. This guy right here. I fixed the pickups on that one for the show this weekend, but I thought I was going to try to get this guy working again. This is, you know, my little tiny thing, and get this thing out of the way. I might pull him in later to do stuff. So I've been taking it apart because it hasn't really been apart, and you can see the plastic dust like literally everywhere. It is absolutely disheartening. But the plastic dust is normal. I got 2 bogies here. I was going to drill 2 bogies with holes to run the wires, but I was just trying to figure this out. So I'll put this thing together temporarily so you can see. This is how it used to be set up. This had nothing on it except wheels, the bogie. It had no wiring or whatever. The motor's here, and the battery box, or just the battery itself, fit in there, and I just used this guy, not that guy, this guy right here. This is my, you know, wonderful little adaptation of a 9-volt connector to a 9-volt connector. And so that was in here, and of course the wire came out the hole here and right to the motor. So pretty much tickety-boo. So you can see the bottom here. You can see where I cut the monorail train base. 2x4. I cut off the back of one of those monorail bases. This one is a 1x4. I like the 2x4 better because it holds better. The 1x4 just pops off literally all the time, which annoys me. So a 2x2 would be perfect. Hint, hint, 4D bricks. A 2x2 connector to a monorail base. And so trying to put this as a powered bogie in the front, I think would be, there's no way of getting the wire from here to here, or here around here and then back into here to come back to here, because that's what has to happen. When you have 2 bogies, you have to connect them together. 2 powered bogies, you have to connect them together, and it would be connected in here. So I'm not even going to bother trying to do this as a powered pickup in this one. I'm just going to put a powered pickup in this one. And so I'm only going to drill holes in one. So don't look if you're cringy to power. Oh, what's that movie? Dustin Hoffman, Dentist. I can't remember now. I might have to pick this up later because my family just came home. They were at the beach. So, but I'm going to drill, and basically you have to kind of avoid everything. Let's see if I can show you that. I drill right there in the corner above the square, and I drill at an angle so it comes through the sidewall here, because then it doesn't interfere with the top of this mechanism here, this guy here. Don't want it interfering with that. So very, very carefully without touching the tires, because that's wrong. Usually I pop the tires out. Why didn't I pop the tires out this time? Let me take the tires out. The wheels. There we go. One. Tires are not going to get harmed now. So here's me drilling. I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to, I guess probably right there. There's one side. Ow. Don't do that. Yeah, I'm still that guy. That hasn't changed much since I was a kid. Turn that off. Okay, turn it off now. And clean this up a little bit. You will see 2 holes. That's clean, that's clean, that is clean. You see 2 holes there, right there. Get the sun on it, the light on it. There we go, 2 holes, 1 and 2, one side, the other side. And then they come into the little void above the square. Now, I did drill into the void itself, thinking I could put that little springy thing with the little magnetic little copper pickup, and I could never get it working properly. So I gave up on putting the hole in that little void. So there's a few of my bogies, or at least one that has holes into the void. It just, it didn't work too well. So technically right now with this guy, not that I'm gonna use this long wire, but I could use this long wire because it's already done, set up. Technically, what I could do is, first of all, I have to strip that wire. There we go, wire is stripped. And then you put it through the holes, one side, twist them better so they go through. And I think I gotta get that top off because that's just, my steps are getting to be pretty unsharp, like my wit. Personal deprecation. That's my middle name. So now they're through. Come on. Let's get this thing in here so I can get these things out. Down here, so I can grab them. 1, and this one's not, there it is. 2. So now the wires are coming out like that. And basically I just have to solder I just found the bag, this guy. And I'm going to put the heat shrink tubing on it again because I like that idea. It holds it better. I'm going to have to probably remove one from here. This will take me a couple seconds. Sorry, I should have been prepared for this, but I was not. My humblest apologies to waste you guys' time. This thing has to come apart. There we go. Yeah, as I said, these power pickups I bought for slot cars. They have slot car kits that you can buy so you can replace the pickups, which were not around when I was a kid. I remember my brother got a slot car racetrack when we were kids. I couldn't have been more than 6 or 7 years old. And when the braided wire wore out on those ones, Mom had to go get new braided wire in and of itself, and then we had to do all the work and put the braid in. But overall, the braid lasts a long time, except when you're trying to do stuff like this and build it from scratch. So I'll take this braid out of here. There. So I got a brand new braid. Look at that. Braided wire. I'm going to cut it in half with my very, very dull. That's not half. That's about half. My dull wit. I mean my dull thing. Those are pretty much. One's a little longer. What are you gonna do? Genetics. Go here, separate this so I can put the soldering in. I already got the soldering iron warming up right now, so that's a good thing. I was semi-prepared for that. I was not prepared for this part. So open that up. Open this one up. I really wish that these braided wires were like the old school, where you could actually turn it back into a cylinder. Because it doesn't. There we go. There we go. That's good. That's a good one. I'm doing this one. Good enough. So that's warming up. I'm going to bring this guy back into focus here. I also have to now find my heat shrink tubing. I got this one, and I got another one. It's probably hanging. This one. A little thinner. I'm just going to cut the pieces off. One piece. those pieces, 2 pieces of heat shrink tubing. I'm gonna put this thing into, tighten this up. I always find this thing to be finicky, but what do I know? I'm gonna put that in here, and I'm gonna get the soldering iron. My problem is I am right-handed for everything else except for writing, but whatever. This thing's been warming up for a while, so let's just put this on here and touch that to there. Again, I'm a hack. My friend Rob and Ralph, my friends Rob and Ralph, who are doing circuit boards for the longest time, can probably do a much better job than I do. But I get by. I do wish. The problem, okay, so straight up, this is a tangent, but it's an important one because most of you know that I am colorblind. It is what it is. I'm not 100% colorblind, but I'm pretty much colorblind for some colors. And that is not good if you're trying to join the Army, which I found out right after high school or college. It's also not good for electronic work because back in the day, before SMDs, surface mounted devices, back in the day, resistors used to have stripes on them, and that's how you learned, that's how you knew what ohms they were for resistance. And even though I was so interested in capacitors and resistors and diodes and all that other stuff back, I could never make my own circuit board because I'm freaking colorblind. Drives me nuts. All the stuff I wanted to do. It's like can't do that. Like, it's amazing when you actually come down to it. Like, when I tried to join the Army and they said, yeah, after everything else, oh, you're colorblind, we can't use you. There's a whole story behind that one. But what happens is I was really looking forward to it. I honestly was. And it was the 80s, so it was a little different time for the world, a little more peaceful, shall we say. But I really wanted to get back to the community. Yes, I'm that guy. I wanted to get back to the community. My parents brought me up that, you know, they lived. My mom and dad were born during the war. Like, you think about that. My parents were born at the beginning of the war. Well, my dad was born at the beginning. My mom was born halfway through the war. Like, the time scale, here's me more tangents. The time scale of whatever, you don't think about it. I was born 22 years after World War II ended. 22 years, that's it. The war ended and I showed up. That's not even like one teenage lifetime. It's just barely out of teens. So somebody who was born in 1945 would have been 22 the year I was born. Right? That's the way the math works. So when we took history class, oh, the war was such a long time. 22 years. Anyway, I mentioned my church, my community, a little small community. I mentioned that we did Remembrance Day all the time. My granddad was in the war. I knew lots of people in my church that were in the war, elders of the community, role models of mine, not just my dad's, mine that I looked up to. The people who fought in the war, they were in Europe. And I think, like, and I will say this, they never, like, there was a huge difference between the wars that came after. When I was talking to all the elders of the church, all my role models and stuff, and I asked them about the war, because I was curious as a teenager and younger teenager, they would always regale me of, oh, we were in this little bistro in France and whatever, the cute little stories that they never talked about the horrors of the war. And though you watch Saving Private Ryan, you get the horrors of the war, and we knew about the horrors of the war. But the elders of the church, they never talked about the horrors of the war. They didn't want to. They wanted to forget it. So, but they talked about my 4 buddies and I went on this little leave once and whatever, and get bent. There we go. Hopefully that sticks. Oh, that's fine. This thing swaps around. So, but I knew about the war. I mean, we all know about the war. And I wanted to give back to the community. So when I was my entire childhood, it was not directed to join the Army, but I was thinking, like, I really want to join the Army when I get out of school and give back. And in the 80s, there was not a lot of issues going on in the world at the time that Canada was involved in, but still I wanted to join the armed forces and blah blah. And then I go to join the armed forces, and then they find out I was colorblind, and they said, well, this is the cold notes of my time of trying to join the Army. They said, well, you're colorblind after everything else that I tested for and surpassed with flying colors. You are only qualified to be a grunt, well, what we call grunt now, but as just a regular soldier, and a padre, a minister. I call them padres, but a minister, or come on, or a chef. And I wasn't interested in those three jobs at all. I wanted to be a scuba diver. So, c'est la vie. My military career ended. I hopped back in my car and I came home, and that was the end of that. My auspicious military career came to an end after 1 week. So, and again, it is what it is. I am still to this day a little disappointed that I didn't get to join the Army or the Canadian Forces. I think I would have really been a value added service to that. I think that's just too big. But it is what it is. And but I think it's a little smaller. Too many things going on in my head right now. But yeah, so I'm colorblind, and going back to the electronics part, you have to be able to tell apart resistors and whatever else is. I don't want to burn this thing too much. So I lived with it my entire life. And again, a colorblind person can get by quite well in the world. There's no doubting that. There's not a visible, what do you call those things? Again, my mind just keeps on losing words. A visible deficiency, or whatever you want to call it. I don't need a parking sticker because it's just my colorblindness. I can stop at a red light, so don't worry about that. But it is sometimes slightly annoying with the stuff I wanted to do with my life, like electronics and stuff like that, because I couldn't do it. And it is such a... This is the problem with this thing. It was such a, not a burden, but I find it every so often it became a little bit of a thing. And I didn't want it to make it into a thing, but it was sometimes. And it has limited me on specific things in my life. And also, and this is the problem, I gotta get myself a new soldering iron. When it specifically comes to Lego, it does have a little bit of deficiency now. It never did until the last 20 years. All the wonderful colors that Lego puts out now, I have a tough time with some of them because I can't tell them apart. Dark green, dark brown, and dark red. I have to get them under really good light before I can tell them apart. Now, other people, not a problem. And as Paul found out when he was over here, sometimes I even my trans yellow, oh, I forgot to put the thing on there. My trans yellow and my trans neon green, I have a tough time with. How did that pop out? Anyway, I'm not gonna worry about it. So that's a bit of an issue, because you know how much I love trans yellow. It's one of those things that you learn to get by. I will put on purple clothes sometimes, and I think it's blue. My wife points that out sometimes. Don't whistle when you're doing that heat shrink. Okay. Let's see if I pull those back. There we go. That one's almost perfect. That one's almost perfect. Almost. I think I'm going to start, because that is, oh, that's sticking up too far. I'm going to push that down, because the solder, this is the problem with the solder on the, there we go. So now they're both below. And I can put the wheels back in. One. And those. And now I have pickups. And I'm going to put this over here. I'm going to turn that off because I don't want to burn in the house. I'm going to get my multimeter. And I'm going to clean up this room. I mentioned before that sometimes it takes me a little while longer to find stuff than it should, which annoys me to no end. So this is exactly why I'm downsizing, not for any other reason than I want to find stuff easier. So, oh, did I leave it on? It is dead. Son of a pup. It is dead. What kind of batteries does this thing take? I left this thing on the other night. So I'll get this thing out here. My cheap Gruberman. Take that screw off. I think this is a 9-volt. I'm gonna find out. Yay, 9-volt. I will say, oh, that's dead. Talking about it, there was a time years ago, and it might even be this one, or is it this guy here? I needed this for a show, and I had a stud finder in the garage, and I didn't have any other. But when I was a teenager, every toy came with one of these things. Every radio came with one of those things. But since then, since like 15 years ago, 10 years ago, I did not have a spare one right before a show, so I cut the one off my stud finder because that's the only connector I had in the house at the time. And then I asked for a new stud finder for Christmas. Sometimes it is what it is. And we put this back down. Usually I'm really good at turning things off. And people know me when around this house when I walk into rooms and the lights are on or I'm leaving the room. There we go. Now we're back there. So now this thing should be absolutely working properly. So this side here, I'm going to turn this over so I can get access to the pickups. This side here, and then go here. That's good. And then do it the other side so there's no short. Good, good, good. Do this side. Not working at all. Come on. Why? Okay. That's not giving me a lot of faith. Okay, that's good. Usually when I do this, there, done. Okay. Turn it off now. It's off. I haven't done that for years. I left a big wire on here for I don't know what reason. I really don't know what reason. Because this is the one that came out of my other monorail that we saw the other day. And so I'm just going to put this on here. I need my, see, again, 2x4 Technic plate. And it fits perfectly on the half thing. Wait, I'm going to have to bring this into here. Really need to rebuild this a little bit. Give me a sec. I need some 1x6s. Maybe 1x4. One of the things I've always been impressed with, even when I was a kid, is how adaptable Lego is for whatever you're trying to build. So it is, I always found it to be ironic that if you go off script, if you go off the instructions and start building whatever you want, which is what we did as kids, because again, we only had those basic sets as kids. And we go here, put that through here. It's really stupid long, but I'm not gonna worry about it right now. And now this thing is on here. And I still have somewheres over here. I'm gonna say I'm genuinely excited right now after getting to this point, because this is one of my favorite monorails that I ever built for myself. I mean, there's other people that built fantastically awesome monorails that I just drool over and get rid of this stuff. But for me, this is personally my favorite, and it's not because it's complicated, because it's not even remotely complicated. These things ain't complicated. There's absolutely nothing to them. There's basic pieces, and of course lots of trans yellow. But I remember designing it, and if you go back in my videos from a long time ago, you'll see how long it took me to design. Oops, I'll put this one back together. That goes there. That goes there. So it took a lot of iterations before I actually found a down here. We'll leave it up like that for now. We'll make the wire shorter later. And have to plug in the soldering iron. So that's off now. Plug in the, put this over here so you can see. Get over. So I can bring this onto the screen so you're not seeing me do it off screen. I think you see it now. This will go over here. Ernest goes to camp. Let's see. That's awesome. Hey! That's not supposed to happen. There we go. I love it. Okay, there's a bit of a dead spot. What's going on here? See, that's why you have two pickups, and I don't know how to put two pickups in here. This one is bent out. And this is the problem with the 1x4. It always comes off. Okay. So slow that down. Put these on. Again, if you haven't heard the story about why all these characters are women in this thing, I'll tell you in a sec. As soon as I get this thing connected, and I think I want more. I did a show years ago. I don't know if it was a hobby show or whatever. Will it do ramps? Because this is when that goes up and down the ramps. I don't know. So I was doing the hobby show or whatever, one of the shows that we were doing, and I had female minifigs on the layout, and some guy, and honestly, it's like some guy, this guy walked up, and he goes, "Women are not in space. Women should not be in space." And I go, "Oh, really?" And again, I'm not one of these, you know, I'll march and stuff like that. But I go, "What are you talking about, dude?" Like, what's with this? Like I don't know if he was just joking at the time. I don't know. I don't believe he was. I think he was actually being quite serious, that he was one of these guys who think women should not be doing stuff that they're doing. And I had a bit of a problem with that. Because I have a mom, and I have a sister, and I have lots of friends who are women, and they can do whatever the beep they want. But, there we go. Now that I got power coming off the rails, which you can't do with regular monorail. So the very next show I did, every minifig on the layout was women. Female minifig, every single one of them. I went into the buildings, I went into ships, I got a whole bunch of women minifig faces, and the whole layout. And this is probably one of the things that still remains 100% women. That's what I do. I'm gonna go for dinner. I'm just happy that this is working now. Oops, yeah. And I can't wait to test it at the show. Thanks for walking with me to this part. So everybody out there, stay safe, take care, and I will talk to you soon.